What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Shared Screens Podcast. Shared Screens Podcast? No, we're two words. The Shared Screens Podcast, the only podcast here at Shared Screens where there's no specific topic, no specific theme. We're just kind of here, vibing, and joining us today, he's the daddy with the fatty. It's Chance Carter. What's up, Chance?
Hey, guys. I was trying to lisp. Sorry. I didn't mean that to sound bad.
No, you just kind of sounded like the Goonies for a second.
Okay, that's fine, too.
It was also like 50% muffled, so it was even more funnier. Anyway,
it was kind of like you were talking through a burp for a second.
I was trying to imitate the Seth Gaines, but
love that.
Oh, yeah.
Jesus.
And that other voice you hear is no other than Austin Ernst. Austin, how are you?
Hello, I'm great. On the intro, I thought you were just gonna say this is the only podcast. Like, this is the only podcast we have, and I was like, that's definitively untrue.
You get
but
one
roll with
podcast. No, we were talking beforehand on big wheels, and well, I said that I want my back cracked with either a really small car, like a smart car or Fiat, and Chance was like, or three guys in a big wheel. And I want to talk about some fucking bullshit class difference that I noticed because my father, very humble man, when I was a little kid, my father owned a deli, you know? Him and my uncles, they owned a deli. That's what we did. That's why I was a fat kid. I would be getting fucking chicken cutlet sandwiches that just had fucking melted cheese and mayo all over them, and I would fucking gobble them down. Anyway, so the big wheel I had as a kid, little red Jeep Rubicon, you know? I'd be going down the block in my Power Wheels. Okay, boom, little Jeep. Then I'm like, jump like 10-ish years. I'm 16 now, visiting my aunt, lives on the other side of the country. Got a little cousin, he's about 3 or 4. He's cool, he's Henry. I'm like, yo, what's up, Henry? At that summer, I remember me and him would like play fight, and I would let go, and he'd fall on his ass, and he would die laughing.
Oh,
Henry, his father, my uncle, lawyer where they live. So his little Power Wheel, a fucking Mercedes, bro. Listen to that shit. Like even in the like even in the fucking toy car department, I've always been fucking screwed over.
Dude,
like this kid,
you had a Jeep. You were a person of the people. That or you were a lesbian. Like that. Those are the only two people.
No, but here's
Jeeps.
what fucks me up is I have a Jeep now, and it's kind of like it was technically the second car I owned, but it was like the first car that like it's like it's about to hit
go on the freeway.
Yeah, like I just hit nine years with this car like 2 months ago or about a month ago. Yeah, like
that's really good. Like,
yeah,
like shout out to that.
This kid, like my cousin now, he's like 16. I'm like, if he gets a fucking Mercedes, because his dad's a lawyer, I swear to Christ, if the big wheels come back to haunt me, I'm hitting this kid.
And here's something
like,
worse.
He's a big kid. He's big. Like he'll survive if I slap him around a bit.
I didn't even get a big wheel. I got my dad. He was a garbage man, so he worked at a recycling center and would go through a bunch of trash and shit. Really inspiring story here. But he would bring me stuff randomly, so I didn't even get a big wheel bought for me. I just got the thing he fixed up that was in the trash. That was an electric scooter that you just stood on it and you did the little.
Oh, nice.
Electric scooters are also fucking fun.
Yeah.
I loved my sister's.
He brought me that's how I got my PS1. That's how I got a bunch of random ass DVDs and video games. Was my dad just finding it in the trash and then like basically cleaning it and like see if this works. And that half time it did.
Like by any.
That's how I got a bunch of Sega Genesis games. So yeah,
my uncle
today they would call that a side hustle.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't sell any of them, but I mean, it was just for his kid because there was no other way I was getting it. So
my dad would always pick shit up off the side of the road because he commuted every day, and so I remember so much just like football gear that I never played football, but it was just like he picked up like one of the pads off the side of the road, and I used that for lacrosse for like 10 years.
I remember.
Like, you never know. He might play. Who knows? Now I got it covered.
He has the tistic hand, so I don't know if he'll be good at football, but.
Okay, all right, writing on the wall there.
I remember.
I'm diagnosed. I can make those jokes.
Okay.
Hell yeah. I remember going to a garage sale in a rich neighborhood once in Long Island when I was in like high school or late middle school, and seeing a bunch of video games. Mom was like, "Don't do this. Like, you're gonna spend a lot of money, and these are all gonna be scratched up, and they're not gonna fucking work." I'm like, "No, this is a nice area. Look at them." I like take the disc out. I got all 3 Ratchet and Clank sequels. So like. Deadlocked, Up Your Arsenal, and Going Commando. And then I forgot what else was in the PSP pile of games I got from this rich area, but one of them, just this random game that I played called Rengoku 2. Never heard of it before in my life. But when Yeah, it's weird
Is
JRPG
that
shit, but
Goku's
like
brother? Like, what the fuck?
nothing to do with DBZ.
Cousin.
You play like an android, and you could equip weapons on any part of your body, and so each arm weapon and the head weapon were equipped to like square, triangle, and circle.
Oh, that's
And your
sick.
chest was X. Yeah, it was weirdly fun, and I had no idea what I was doing. I was just kind of running around having fun. Looked it up a couple of months ago. Turns out you were supposed to like eat, like you're literally supposed to make your way up an entire building, and like at the top was like the final boss.
And you just didn't give a fuck about the building? Or?
I didn't understand what the hell the goal
Fair
was,
enough.
man. Like it was one of those like I was like 12, so I'm like skipping half the cutscenes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm like,
if we're on the line of like the scratch video games or like video games that we just randomly got, I probably shouldn't have. My dad, he would save up to get me one video game for like Christmas or my birthday or whatever, and he brought me home Digimon like Battle Rumble or whatever. And this game sucks ass. All right, it's probably one of the worst games I've ever played. I wanted this shit so bad, and this thing was like way too much money, like probably like full retail price at the time. And he saved up and he got it for me, and I played the shit out of that game. No,
or was it a fighting
for
game? Because there's one called Digimon Battle Spirit. I'm seeing
something Rumble. It might not be Battle Rumble. It's Digimon something Rumble. Anyway, this game awful. I played the shit out of this game, like probably like 200 hours on this bitch because I was just so into Digimon on this.
Dude,
Rumble Arena.
Maybe the cover is like one blue dude and one red dude.
Yeah.
So your dad,
That's all I got.
every time he saw you playing that, he's like, "Fuck yeah, that was a good."
Seriously,
purchase." Like he's
he
getting some miles out of this gift.
He would pop in holding a beer and smoking a cigarette, and he'd be like, "What you doing?" I'm playing
My,
Digimon. He's like, "Fuck yeah."
My uncle took my cousin's PS1 overseas, got it modded, and came back with a bunch of because you not even ROMs. It was that he got it modded to play discs from overseas, and you could get all the discs from overseas way cheaper, and they were probably pirated. So he came back with a PS1 and a stack of discs like this big. It was pretty fucking sick.
That sucks because the half-life of the PS1 was not long, so he like got that, and then 2 years later, like the fucking PS.
Oh, me and my cousins barely used our PS1. Like I remember the game I remember playing the most on my PS1 was Spider-Man. Like that was just to me like the game that was always in
real
there.
Quick, was it the movie
is that
Spider-Man,
Neversoft?
or was it the one where like
Neversoft?
you could only swing twice? Dude,
You could swing more than twice, but it was the one that was like narrated by Stan Lee.
Yeah.
Like,
and, like
it's
the opening level I played so many times because I'd always forget to save before I get off. Oh my
yes,
God,
and you'd go into the building, you'd crawl down the vent. It was Scorpion. You're wet. Yeah, you were thinking of the same one. That was the one.
I think the Mysterio fight was as far as I got because I was awful
If it's
at that game.
if it's the Neversoft one, the Scorpion like boss fight took me years because I could not. You have to like. Maybe
I just threw the desk at him.
It's the one where I'm thinking I might think of a different game then, but it's one where you have to like literally like fly across the city fighting a scorpion, and I know it's Scorpion because I can picture its fucking stupid face in the corner of the screen with this little health bar.
Maybe that's the second one. I never played the second one.
That one took me literally like I would play it every couple months and be like, nope, I can't do it.
Yeah.
So
does anything go as hard as that Neversoft logo? Like that logo treatment.
No, with the fucking eyeball, bro.
That was the hardest shit. I remember when that like would come up, I'm like, oh, I'm playing a big kid game right now. This is titties. Oh my God.
To pivot away from games, it's no mystery that I've had like Wi-Fi issues, right? Like I will like just I might even on this podcast I might just disappear for a few seconds and come back. Who knows? But so in a attempt to fix that, I have this laundry chute, okay, and it's really sketchy because it's just like in the closet and it's just a tube that goes downstairs, and my Wi-Fi hookup is downstairs. I'm like, you know what? No one's using this chute. I'm gonna get the longest fucking cords that we have. I'm gonna put them through the laundry chute, so my router is like up a whole story, and maybe that will help just like the range of my router.
It is.
Yeah.
Yes. So I'm hoping because hey, right now I haven't dipped yet, so maybe I did something, but I put the longest fucking. I put the longest freaking like plug-in extension cord plus a like female male Ethernet connector. You know what I mean? So I'm probably losing a little bit there because I'm like putting it through another cable to get to my router.
To your router.
Correct.
Yeah.
But so yeah, and then I ran that through the laundry chute. I had to freaking do that right. Had to balance it correctly so it wasn't just holding on by the plug-in on the router. I had to like kind of wrap it around something, and it looks like shit. My wife hates it. She's not happy about it. It's there. It's hooked up. I'm not changing it.
Hell yeah, dude. Let's
Hell
go
yeah.
for the win.
I think it's helping.
Hell yeah.
Now, before you used the laundry chute, did you when you were like, "There's nobody using this laundry chute"? Before you went to Best Buy, and you
I was
got this
pro laundry
cord.
chute. I was pro laundry chute when I moved in, but no one.
I just want to know:
so.
did you at any point go, "I gotta do it," and go down it yourself?
Bro, this laundry chute is the size of like a fucking mug.
Oh,
what the fuck?
Like, yeah,
it's for you to like shove your
definitely-
clothes into.
Yeah, it's literally just like it's almost like a tube, but it's in a square because it's like manually built. That just it's like a cube basically that goes straight down. So we could, in theory, just put a laundry basket down there at the bottom and just kind of throw stuff through our closet, and then like it would get caught in the basket. I was like, yeah, we can do this, and my wife and our roommate were like, no. we're not doing that.
You're like, okay,
That's
fine.
sketchy. It's gonna get stuck in there, and then we're just screwed. And
when the roommate has better Wi-Fi in their room, I think they won't be bitching anymore.
Well, the roommate hasn't bitched at all. It's,
Okay,
it's just
that's
on my
fair,
wife.
That's awesome. Though.
To be fair, it does look kind of shitty. So like I understand her opening the closet and being like, "What the fuck?"
No, but I get
in
it.
a closet, you can't ask for much better. A mess in a closet
Yeah.
is not
True.
a mess. It's just hidden.
That's true. I agree. The one caveat to that is my wife chose this, so it's kind of her fault anyway. But the closet is where we put our garbage because we have pets, so we're like we just don't want to have to deal with any kind that. So we have to. So she has to open the closet and see the monster that is my router setup to throw something away. So
Now,
I think that's the point where it's just like.
Have you thought about just like taking a couple hours out of your day and just really doing good cable management in that corner so it looks less shitty?
Oh, when I did it, there's no fixing it. Because I could, if I made it better, the only way it would be better per se in terms of cable management would be all the weight would be on the plug-in, it being plugged into the router.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense? Like if I don't put it the way I'm at, then it's gonna pull out of the router, and I'm just
You're
gonna have no
put stress
Wi-Fi.
on the connection, and then
Yes,
the
yes.
soldering is gonna go back.
Then yeah, if it's in a closet, it's just
So I
that's
have it
between you
more-
and God.
Yeah.
I have it more weighted on like the cable itself rather than the actual
Can you like
plug-in.
put a piece of like a cloth, like paint, like a cloth art or something over it?
Just like camouflage it.
Yeah, just so she doesn't have to
do a
see.
picture of what should actually be behind
take
it.
a
So if you
picture of the
open the
plain
closet,
corner.
it looks normal.
Yeah.
Yeah, take a picture of the plain
If you're
corner
like
and get
slightly
it
to the
folded
left,
out.
Yeah.
yeah, if you're slightly to the left, it looks all fucked up.
Hell yeah, dude.
Just fucking optical illusion it.
I think it's improved. I don't want to like knock on wood.
But like no, the things
like-
we do for good internet.
Dude, laundry chute, whatever. I made it work. Here we are.
I upgraded my parents to the Orbi a couple of years ago, and so like the only annoying thing is that we have a satellite in the middle of the hallway on the floor, but like it's fine, like it's manageable.
I used to do internet stuff as one of my many jobs I've had previously. It was all like fiber optic and like Cat 8 or Cat 6, I think, back then. So that means Chance has fiber at his house, and I have an ungodly internet setup.
Fuck yeah.
Come to find out, I had fucked myself a while ago for like a year. So I had just the fiber comes into a termination box that then has 2 Ethernet connections, right? So you can take one of those Ethernet connections and plug in a router. And I was like, that leaves a whole ass extra one. So I went, drilled holes in my ceiling, drilled holes in the other ceiling, ran the wire through, and hardlined my computer into the box. And like randomly, Google would just disconnect, and like I couldn't download stuff off of Google Drive. I'd have to find all these workarounds, and I finally called the internet company, and they're like, "You're the first person who's done this. Nobody knows what the hell to do. Don't do that. You're like, you have been messing up our system on the back end because you're pinging us twice." And so like it was something where like I was messing up their system, so we weren't getting any signal for like a split second, but. I really vibe with you, like really getting into the guts of your Wi-Fi to make sure it's the best.
Ew, that was a sentence.
Bro, you
It's one of the things that when I think about, I'm like that right there. That's the benefit to home ownership versus renting. Because if I owned the home, I could just tell Optimum, you're gonna put the fucking hole for the main router to come through this wall, and here we go, and then boom, now it's where I want it, and we can have the speeds go that way.
I will say that we don't know.
Yeah, I'm renting
because of anything I did. My wife is the financial genius. I'm just the idiot that makes a little bit of money.
Look at you, you little sugar baby. Get your finances.
My mom straight up told her my sugar mama. Like before we got married, she's like, "You have to marry that woman. She knows way more than you, you idiot."
when my this is I'm half joking, but when my wife was like pitching me on like you should propose, blah blah blah, like just giving those little hints. She's like, you could take care of all the money, we'd have joint bank accounts, and I guarantee you that was like 90% of why. Like I'm positive.
Good.
So I have a little story to regale you, gentlemen. If you
Oh, yeah.
hold my ear, let me clear my throat real quick.
I'm ready to regale.
So many of you may know that the F1 has become a big thing in the United States because of Netflix's series, partially because of Netflix's series Drive to Survive. I am one of these people that is now obsessed with F1 because of the show. I am telling you, if you guys have not watched it yet, just give it a try. I don't care about sports. I don't care about NASCAR. I don't watch football. All of a sudden, I care about F1. So it's very good, like entertainment or whatever, but getting to a race is kind of cost prohibitive being in the United States. We don't have a lot of these things around. I think the closest one to me before was Austin. I live in the Rockies. So Austin, and then they have one in Miami. And then they announced one in Vegas. And I was like, there ain't no way in hell I'm going to be able to afford one in Vegas. And sure enough, the tickets come out and they're like $4,000 a pop for like nosebleeds. And that was like last year or something. Fast forward to the Monday before the race. The race happens at Saturday at 10 p.m. for some reason. Oh, it's because of the lights on the strip. I see these TikToks and they're like, yo, nobody can afford the Vegas F1. All these tickets are super cheap. Do it now before, like, and God help you. So I started looking at the tickets. Instead of being $3,000 to $4,000, it was like $500 to $800. And so I'm looking and looking, and I finally figure out the seats that I want to get, because I don't know if you guys have like thought about this, but when you're buying tickets to like a motorsport or something like this, you kind of want to be on a turn. Otherwise, if you're on a straight when they're going fast, it's just like or like ka-chow, whatever race you want, whatever racing floats your boat. So I find the corner, get the tickets. They were like $700, more than I wanted to spend, but they were perfect. Sure. We get in the car on Friday night after work. We're going to go there, spend the whole day. The next day, it's going to be a blast. So I am like, let's just get on the road. My wife's like, I want Chick-fil-A. I'm hungry. And I was like, okay, we're going to go to Chick-fil-A. It's on the other side of town, in the more busy part of town. It's going to be a pain in the ass because of rush hour, but we'll do it. We go get Chick-fil-A. I'm then go get on I'm at a light waiting to get on the freeway, but it's like straight. You can see clearly when cars are stopped.
Yeah.
And I start digging into my little chicken nuggies. I'm a little boy. I want my chicken nuggies and my fries. I have my sauces out. My wife's opened them for me and has them like all organized so I can just keep it in the container.
I'm learning so much about Chance in his relationship right now.
She is a child in different ways. It's very fun. We're just adult ass kids.
Nice.
So I'm just sitting there, and all of a sudden, my forehead hits the fucking steering wheel, and I slam back in the seat. Jennifer, who was leaning forward, like straight up, like hits the windshield and then gets thrown back. We got rear-ended by some homie going 40. Like, he just was not paying attention. So we drive a Subaru Crosstrek, and when I see homie roll up, like, I can tell he wasn't paying attention just from the way he was startled when he hit us. So I'm like, shit, he hit us really hard. The car's probably all fucked up. It's gonna get totaled, and trying to find a used car right now is really hard with the car market because everybody's trying to find a used car because new cars are so expensive. All this is going through my head, and I'm like just trying to keep it cool. My wife, on the other hand, is freaking out. She has never been in a situation like this. Or she has, but she's just not handling it well. And I'm like trying to calm her down, and she does calm down. And finally the cops come. We get off the side of the road, and I get out. And do you guys know, like, the Chevy van? And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Like, the Chevy van, the Uplander is what it's called for you at home. It's like the van with, like, the hood, which usually vans don't have hoods. It's like a really oblong, weird hood. Anyway, that thing was crumbling.
Okay.
I see.
Yeah.
He had smashed that thing all the way up to the front fender, and he was, like, embedded into the back of our Subaru. When I say that our Subaru, like, we need a new fender, and that's about it. Like, it is untouched, and it totaled his car. And so I was like, oh, thank God.
Hell yeah.
The first piece of good luck, even though, like, we have a hotel, we have tickets for tonight, that's all fucked up. We're not going to be able to make it. At least we're safe, and at least the car is not, like, absolutely ruined. We get back home. we get a rental car for the next day, and we go to head out. And that's like more or less like really the part that could have been a movie is like us trying to go down to F1, pulling the trigger last minute. But I will say, like, the F1 race was like the coolest thing. Coolest like live event I've been to besides like some of my favorite bands or whatever. But I've never been to a live event like this.
So I heard about this, and I have some questions.
So go ahead. It was not going well the first couple days. The race that I went to was A1 stay sauce. Go ahead and ask your question.
So they shut down the Vegas Strip because the F1 race was going to take place on the Strip, correct?
Yes. There is one straight in the track that is, I think, like 1.5 miles or 1.9 miles. That is the Las Vegas Strip. So it goes in front of, I think the turn is at Treasure Island, and then it goes all the way past the Bellagio, I think, to the Horseshoe, and then it turns, or maybe just past the Horseshoe. For those who know Vegas, you know where the track is at, but it goes for like a mile. It is the Vegas track that everybody knows, or the Vegas Strip is like the most popular section. It's there. So that's part of the reason why they had to have it at 10 o'clock at night. They started shutting down the roads, and then they had to have it opened back up to the public by 4 a.m. because 4 a.m. is when everybody starts to go home. Crazy, I know, but that's like, it's like Miami out in Vegas.
Yeah. And I also heard that like people that were in the hotels basically weren't allowed to watch from the windows or something. Like they were covering windows.
They tried that. It got a lot of backlash. I will say, I think most of the hotels like made you buy upcharged rooms on that side of. If your room faced the track, they charged you a little bit more. I know back when it was first announced, like a hotel room for like the Bellagio penthouse went for like $1 million. I think most of them were like $20,000 up until like a little bit before the Grand Prix, but when there was nothing booked. I will say that there was not a lot of people. There was a shit ton of people there, but it wasn't packed to the gills because of how prohibitively expensive it was. But like the Venetian, I don't know when the last time you guys went to the Vegas Strip was, if ever. But the Venetian,
I went to the Vegas Strip at 18 for some reason and not at 21 because my uncle was just decided to go, and we were all kids, and he was like, "You want to come to Vegas and hang out with your cousins?" Because he was like, "The kids are going to be bored if I don't bring their cousins." So he was like, "You're going to dance for them, monkey." And I was like, "Great, I'm 18, I'm going to Vegas," and that means absolutely jack shit. Because it was like a month after I turned 18. I was like,
"You didn't do it right," because I went from the time I was 16 to the time I was like 20 was the most I went, and I was able to partake in all of Vegas's splendor. I'll put it that way. But
damn, your family's different.
So, I wasn't with my family. As soon as I got a license, it was like, "Mom, I'm going to the weekend at Tanner's house," and then we just go down to Vegas.
Tanner's house was in Vegas.
Yeah.
I mean, Tanner, shut out.
Yeah, the whitest kid you knew.
Tanner punches his mom,
dude, and he hates his dad. Let me tell you what. So we get there. We're at the Rio, which is like across the freeway from the Strip, and we go down to the dispensary because your boy. I gotta re-up. I gotta get my shit. Get a vape pen.
The Zaza.
I get some Eddies, right, or edibles. I know for all of you cyberpunk people, Eddies probably is triggering. Anyway, so we take an Uber down to Treasure Island, and we just start to walk through, and like. Usually Vegas is just a menagerie of debauchery, right? Just like there's not a vibe, right? Like there's not this is an 80s party. Well, this weekend it was an F1 party. And so like there was the usual debauchery, but everybody was wearing like Red Bull and Mercedes jackets. And let me tell you what. Checo Perez races for Red Bull. I cannot tell you how many freaking Checo Perez jerseys I saw, and I don't mean like this as a bias. He's a Mexican race driver. Every single brown person at that race was wearing a Checo jersey. I shit you not. Like they were sold out within like the first day. It was really cool to see, but it was also like, damn, I feel kind of bad for some of these other drivers because nobody's buying their shit.
They were really coming out for their boy. Like people were supporting. Fan favorite for sure.
Our whole section, which was he races for Red Bull. We weren't in the Red Bull section. We were by the Red Bull section. There was probably 3,000.
Four Locos Prime Energy. I'm just trying to think. Wasn't usually near the Red Bulls.
I think it was Heineken or something. I think they sponsored the whole thing. But like our whole section was wearing Sergio merch. Like I'm not trying to be facetious. It was like thousands of people.
Nice.
But inside the track, like, is a circle, obviously, or is a closed loop. So when you get on the inside of it, there's like no cars and no way to get around. So we got on one side trying to go to the F1 store, which we did get to. But then that meant that we had to walk, I shit you not, 2 miles without being able to get an Uber to our seats. And Jennifer was not stoked about that. But by the end, we had like the best time. We like stopped in some random courtyard that is not usually full of like food trucks, but there was like these container food truck things, and they're like, we stopped and ate, and I had a chili dog because I wanted to go fast, and like the waitresses were dancing on the inside, and Jennifer like started throwing money at them, and they started twerking, and then behind us like a live band started playing, Will You Be My Girl, and they were like marching up and down stairs, and it was the fucking best. And
okay,
by the way, I took 250 milligrams of edibles about this point.
Jesus,
I was completely coherent like through the entire time, but your boy it was high for sure. But like
at that point, just take a horse tranquilizer.
No, dude.
No, don't do that.
No, I ain't Joe Rogan. I'm not taking ivermectin.
Don't do it.
Anyway, when
you hear that, math
playing,
kids?
When the band started playing is when like the first round of eddies started kicking in, and I was like, oh, we are about ready for liftoff. But we got to our seats. It was a really good time. Got to hang out with my boss for a little bit, and then the next day I think we went home at like 1, and we had to drive through like the shittiest blizzard I've ever been in my life in this stupid little Camry.
Oh shit.
So our Subaru all-wheel drive, just a little beast in the snow. This little boy can handle snow like it's nobody's business. This Camry
like all Subarus.
Yeah, like Subarus do. But this Camry could not keep the gumption going. It was sliding all over the road. Yeah.
Poor Camry.
Poor Camry.
She wasn't ready for this journey that we were going to take her on.
She was trying. She was trying.
Yeah, no. My old manager was a big F1 guy, and I've never understood, but I'm like, good for them. Like, they seem to be having fun.
So I will say, like, I didn't really get why F1 was so like enthralling, because like if you look at it, up until recently, the budgets were uncapped. So like the team with the most money oftentimes was winning, and I was like, well, that's just pay to win. That's not that much fun to watch. And then you start watching Drive to Survive, and like I have like 5 racers that I really like root for. I don't have one. Like I think that's one thing that the show really did for it, is like you get to see like you get to see the shit that they don't show on the TV that's actually interesting to Americans. So like the team dynamic, right? In most of these teams, there's 10 teams, every team has 2 drivers. If you're on Alpine, for example, right? There's one guy named Ocon, and the other guy's Pierre Gasly. Like they're on the same team, they should be friends. They can't be, because they're the only people racing in the same car. So one of them has to be better, and that is the better driver, because everybody's cars are different. So when all of the racers, I shit you not, like they are all at like more or less the same skill level, except for like Verstappen and Hamilton. That's why they're the champion. But they're all at the same skill level. It's the car that's dictating if they're winning or not. And so if you are in a car and your teammate's going faster than you, that means he's the better driver. So like it's this weird dynamic where like you are both fighting for points for yourself, but also fighting for points for the team. So you are trying to do better than the other racer. But like in Vegas, no, it wasn't in Vegas, it was in Abu Dhabi this last weekend. Pierre and Ocon were like fighting for 4th, and Pierre had it, but then Ocon got past him at a turn, and like they started fighting. One of them like ran out of tire and had to come into the pit lane, and it like cost him. Like I think Pierre ended up in like 10th because Ocon was being a bitch and wanted to be the better driver. Anyway, there's like all these inner playing dynamics, and like drivers going from one team that they hate, or one team to like the team that was like the biggest one is like there's this guy named Danny Ricciardo who used to race for Red Bull. Red Bull and Alpine don't like each other. It used to be Renault. And so Danny went to drive for them because they offered him so much money. So it was like divorced parents fighting over a kid in the custody. It's like
hell yeah.
It's very silly.
Not hell yeah, but
yeah.
What?
I promise divorce. It's not some like old man sport. So Liberty something is like just bought F1, and that's when Drive to Survive. That's when they started coming into the States, and like all of like when the F1 drivers were allowed to have a social media presence and like actually build out a character, so then people care about watching them race. Before that, they weren't allowed to have social media accounts.
Interesting.
So so I can just keep talking your guys' ear off about F1.
How do you
Can't
feel about Gran Turismo,
I
the
haven't
movie?
played it. I haven't watched it.
I can't imagine like them not having social media would benefit anything.
I think it's because they
Even if
didn't
it,
want them to go off and say something crazy.
well, here's the thing. Even if they say something crazy, that's just publicity, right? Wouldn't that just make you more money in the
100%.
long?
But then
long
you
run?
talk to these old British dudes, and they're so like risk adverse. I think the
It's very much a, hey, if nobody says anything, we can never, like, we can truly just be everywhere, because like going from Vegas to Abu Dhabi to like having influence all throughout the world.
well, I
I'm
think
also
part of that is because
coming at it.
go ahead.
Go
I think
ahead.
part of that is because they have social media presence, so like people feel like they have a direct line to these racers, and I know that like
Yeah.
really helped Lewis Hamilton because he was like big into um, equality during the pandemic. I'll just leave it there, and so I know that really bolstered his standings amongst fans to see that
Sure.
he gave a shit, and then like Lando Norris also like did some shit on social media that was like pretty important. He has like an end racism thing that on his steering wheel that he's kept since like 2020. Anyway,
Okay.
so that like
Yeah.
them having a social media presence is actually like benefiting.
It's been helping, yeah.
Yeah, I'm also coming at it from like the American perspective, where like I'm pessimistic about all that stuff, just because like people are fucking crazy here.
Yeah, oh
so,
yeah, oh yeah.
so maybe it is because like F1, like you said, it recently came to like America in that fashion or whatever. So like maybe in other countries, like that just isn't a problem. So or as much.
Yeah, I think it's also like they get people. I mean, these guys when they come in, like Max Verstappen started racing for Red Bull when he was like 16. Like I think he was like the
Damn.
backup driver or something. So like they are teaching him from a very young age like how to handle this type of fame, and you can tell the ones that handle it well and the ones that are like biting the bit on like you have to say this, you have to act this way, or it's not going to go well. And it usually doesn't end up going well for those racers when they kind of aren't
Slip up.
the nicest in social interactions, I guess, but there hasn't been a lot of those. I will say going to the race, anytime some like a driver was seen and like he was in Vegas, it was a very different thing than when they had been there last year, because last year nobody had bought tickets to see them. So they were like, these are just people coming to get a selfie. Bro, the amount of selfies I saw from like the Vegas F1 was astounding with these drivers.
Yeah.
It's second time job for sure. Anyway,
Hell yeah.
That's fun. Yeah, that sounds like an experience that's like really like worth the money, and like even you getting hit like rear-ended, like it still seems like it was just
Yeah.
it kind of added to the whole buildup of like we're fucking doing this. I don't care. Nothing is stopping me right now, and just the way it all came to be, where you're like kind of like the day before essentially, or like the week before or whatever.
I appreciate you saying that, because it was definitely, as soon as it happened, it's like, well, we can't go now. And then I was like, I am into this fucking thing like too
Yeah.
hard. We are not dipping out now.
I
not-
understand
not
the
going
total. And exactly, I understand totally getting rear-ended, and you're like, maybe this is fate.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm
Jennifer,
not supposed to go.
She's super what is that?
Superstitious.
Superstitious.
Super superstitious, and so she's like, this is a sign, whatever deity is telling us not to go. And I was like, I'm an atheist, I believe in luck. Or I don't believe in luck, we're fucking going.
You're already driving the other direction. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna take a rental car, and it's not gonna matter if we're gonna get T-boned again, because it's not gonna be ours.
Chances like
Exactly.
either you're coming with me and getting a rental car, or I'm taking this busted ass Subaru all the way there going 35. All right.
Actually, like the thing drives fine. I will get, like, we didn't want to take it just to make sure that it like
Sure.
didn't get fucked up, but
Sure.
like it does drive fine. But it was like, we're going, I can like tie you up and put you in the trunk, or we're like, you can like sit up front with me like a big grown.
There's a part of me that's surprised
Jesus.
you did that, like in the same moment after the cop left, you didn't just like take the fender, throw it in the back seat, and go, we'll find a shop in Vegas and Uber throughout. Like once you get to Vegas, you're like, yo, we find a mechanic, we Uber throughout Vegas in the weekend. Monday comes, they have the car fixed up, and we head back.
We're still
Mechanics
waiting
where
for,
you have to have a guy. Like you have to have a dude that you trust that's like not gonna fuck you over.
Yeah,
so
no.
I have many of those.
can't
guys.
just go to
The
some
only-
rando.
The only issue is we're waiting for insurance. Like that's real.
Yeah,
Like, the insurance
I'm with you.
is
That's fair.
grinding it to a halt. But like my best friend's dad is like the manager of a mechanic / like dealership, and then I got I got people
Helps.
that can help us. Yeah, for sure.
Hell yeah. That's
I took
always
it
good.
over to
And
him.
those people that you have are probably like, yeah, you get your insurance, and then it'll be way more better, you know. So like, let's just hold off on the whole thing. So
I took it over to the shop, and my homie's dad was like, well, what do you want me to look at? It looks all right. And I was like, well, I want to make sure like nothing got messed up underneath, like maybe like the gas
Yeah.
is linking or something. So he puts it on, I like help him put it on the lift, and he like starts to align the tires and everything, and he starts looking underneath it, and he's like, damn, these Subarus are something else, man. Like, and he's like, there's nothing, you're fine. He's like, I get it.
He's like poking it, waiting for it to transform or something.
Yeah.
Like,
well, he was talking
come
about how
on.
like they accordion in when they're hit, so you don't have to like replace
Sure.
the frame. That's like a subframe that you can
Yeah.
like, replace really easy. But anyway, highly recommend Subarus for any of you out there.
I need to get a new car.
I drive a
soon.
Mazda because it was the only semi-cheap used car that you got in. Like you were getting at, like used cars they're hard to come by, like ones that aren't complete shit. So it was the one that it had like I want to say like 110,000 miles, which isn't that much for a little Mazda sports car, and so I have around 140-ish something thousand now, and I've had no issues. The only issue I've ever had with it is that one time I think I forgot to put my oil cap back on when I put oil in it. So then I go out to look at my car and there's just oil like slowly just sludging out of the front of my car. I'm like, God damn it. That was just totally
That's
me.
all
I just
me. Yeah, you're like that has nothing to do with the car.
I think my sister has
just
like
me?
over 300 or 2 something
Damn.
on her Mazda 3. So like those are like
Mazda 3.
yeah, they are.
I
almost
like the
got one at one
Mazdas.
point.
I wanted a Mazda 2 in high school, so I wanted a green one, little tiny green
I
one.
want a Mazda
So,
Miata so
I'm-
bad, just fucking floor that thing to the ground, like get really.
The
perfect-
Miatas are nice.
dude. Miata's always the answer.
My dad will hate me for this, but like I'm just very car stupid. Like I know how to change my oil, change a tire, and like that's pretty much like my fluids and stuff like that, and that's about it. When I learned that you don't have to like put coolant in a Mazda or whatever, I blew my mind. I
Wait,
was like,
what?
what? That doesn't make any sense. Yeah, because for my Mazda 3, you just have it's one continuous circuit.
That is fucking
Everything-
insane, dude.
Yeah,
Good
like it's just one.
job, Mazda. I thought your best
I don't
work
know,
was
man.
the RX-7. That is some good shit.
So I mean, maybe I'm just dumb and my car's gonna explode. But from what I've learned, that you just don't have to. So.
I mean, I'm sure your
Yeah.
dad would have told you, like, hey, change the
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
blinker fluid. You
Yeah,
idiot."
Well, okay, here's the thing. My dad is very knowledgeable when it comes to cars. My dad, I've said it on content before, not the brightest human being for other things. So sometimes my dad will say something and I'm just like,
Did you
I
read
don't
that
know
on
if that's
Facebook?
exactly true. Yeah, oh my God. Yeah, my dad should not have social media. But it's just one of those things where like, I trust him, but I'm like, I'm gonna
I gotta
I'm
check
gonna
some.
look that up.
I read
Yeah,
that on
it's-
patriot.truth.
No, dude,
Have
my
you heard
dad
of
would
this
look into that shit
website?
too.
Have you heard of this website called Rumble? Fuck, Dad, stop.
No.
Hillary Clinton put AIDS in the water. Look at it. Go to HillaryClintonAIDSwater.com.
The frogs are gay.
No, Jesus Christ. But my dad doesn't have social media, but like for the most part, he doesn't really use it. But just when he does use it, it's like I'm not exactly so in support of like the things you're following or you're like liking and stuff. But for the most part, if my dad could just live in the middle of nowhere in like a hut and just fish, and like that's all he does and that's all he lives off, my dad would
I think
110%.
that's
Like
a
no
very
hesitation.
White dad thing is like they may have like the wrong takes, but at the end of the day, they just want to be left the fuck alone. That's really
They just
what
want to be
boils down
100%.
alone in the woods. Yeah.
like they
100%.
Yeah, I think
They're
that's
like,
really
"Dude."
what's misunderstood about like the 40s
Yeah.
to 60s boomer white guys. Like they just
Where
wanna
it's
be
like,
left the fuck alone.
Yeah.
they don't want to interact with some specific people, but as a whole, they don't want to interact with anyone.
Yeah.
And it's better if they don't anyway.
Yeah, it is.
It's
Let 'em be
completely
in the
true with that's completely true with my dad too. But my dad will also tell you, like, he won't go into intricate because he's not great with words, but he'll be like, I know what I'm feeling is wrong, so I'm just gonna go.
I think
kind of a
that's-
thing.
I think that's like the good. He understands it, and so he's not making other people feel uncomfortable. I think,
Exactly. Yeah. He'll just leave the room. He's just like, nope. Like I disagree with a lot of things that you're talking about right now. I'm just gonna go.
That's being public when people start spitting shit. You know, when someone in public just says something, you're like, I don't feel like arguing with you.
Yeah.
So you're just like, yeah, man.
But in
The other
2021, I was
caveat-
arguing with everybody, bro. I would take you to court.
Depending on what it was, I totally understand, especially 2021. But the one caveat for my pops is if he's sober. My dad is a little tipsy, or like when he's normally drunk, he's probably gonna give you the once over verbally, and you're gonna be like, "What the fuck are you just saying?" Because he has no teeth.
Oh, poor guy.
Yeah. No, my grandpa used to say some out of pocket shit, and that was partially because English was like his second language, and there are some words that translate poorly is the
Yeah.
best way I'll put it. And it's like, nope, we're gonna have to put you back at like we're gonna take you away from the public for a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
no, I'm with you. My dad means well, but he's
Yeah.
just,
when I got out of the military, my dad was like my landing pad. He told me, it's like, you always have a job with me, like whenever anything happens. So like I shod horses a lot of my life just because of that offer. And my dad was always gone working when I was a kid. And so I actually have spent more time with him in my 20s than I ever did my kid years or my teens.
Yeah.
Not that he wasn't there, but I worked with him. So I remember working with him during the pandemic, and there was like so many breakthrough conversations I had with him where like I got to know him at a certain like level where like I knew how to explain things to him. And there was a couple things where he's like, there's just some things I can't move past, and I know it's my own thing, so I'm just not going to talk about it. And
Yeah.
like I think that is like that's not appreciated enough. I feel like they would still like our parents, the men in that situation would still not be given like a fair shake, if that makes sense. I get why some people like really need to drive the point in, but I think that's like as much like leeway and as much progress as we're gonna make with them. Like this, I don't know
Totally
how
agree.
old your dad is. My dad's like 65, so like I'm only gonna get so far with him.
Yeah,
Like
my
because
dad's that
I
age, and then also just not from this country. So there's just some things that it's just like, yeah, this is like it's like arguing like 2 generations behind with some
yeah.
things. But that's kind of goes for
I
both my parents. It's more like arguing with like white grandparents than
And
think my dad is 58. I
okay,
think.
so they're all
He
like
was
the
born.
same age.
He was born in 65. So I'll do the math. But yeah.
Damn, my dad was born in 60, so they are like the same age. My dad's 63 then. Oops. Sorry, Dad.
my dad's. My dad be 66. My dad's old.
I did.
Yeah.
I made breakthroughs with him in other aspects. Like I never had to talk to him about like the gay conversation. He was like, "No, that you love who you love. That's fine." And I was
And-
like,
yeah,
"You're
Nice.
Mormon. What the fuck did you just say to me?" And he was
Yeah.
like, "Oh,
I was.
what?" I was like,
Sorry,
"What the- Sorry, go ahead."
I didn't mean to interrupt you. I apologize. But I when I was like, I don't know, 13 or 14, I just kind of got like, I'm just going to say shit to try to provoke
Yeah.
my dad and my mom and stuff. And one day I came home and I was like, Dad, what would you do if I was gay? And he just said, I guess I'd learn how to, deal with that. And like that might not be the best answer, but like to me that meant the world because he was
That
just
means
saying,
a
like,
lot. Yeah.
That
to me that meant like first thought, like first glance, I wouldn't know how to like deal with that, but like I would learn. You're my son, kind of a thing. Like I'd get used to it, kind of a deal. So I was shocked when he said that because my dad is just very not that person.
that gave me
So
goosebumps, bro. Like that's the shit right there. That's the stuff.
one thing about my dad, and I call him Pops. He's in my phone as Pops. Like again, I tell him he's D+ student. Like that's just how he got by throughout all his years. He's not someone to like say a lot unless he's drunk. But the one thing I never question about my dad is whether or not he loved me. I always knew every second of my life that my dad, not the brightest, he's going to try his hardest to understand. He's going to try his hardest to provide, and he's always going to love me. Like those are just 3 things that I never had a doubt in my mind about. Like there was a moment growing up where my mom lost her job, for a few months or whatever, hard times. And my dad took a second and third job, and he would only sleep 2 hours a night. And he did this for like 3 or 4 months. Or he was just working three jobs just to guarantee. And my parents are separated now, and I guarantee you it had nothing to do with my mom. He's just like, nope, my son is not going hungry. Like he's just like, it's not happening.
Yeah.
So yeah, and he would sleep 2 hours a night and then get up and do it all every single day.
My dad did stuff like that. Yeah.
Something like honestly, like I understand. Like now, I say I can never do that. I might be having a kid like in the future. Who knows? But it's just one of those things where like I say now that like I can never be that person, but if I have a child, who knows? Like who knows how that changes my perspective on things and how I'm just like maybe one day I'm like, yo, I can't do shared screens just because like I have a child. Like there's certain things, you know what I mean? That's what I mean. I'm just saying, but right now
and like help the further generation. Then anyway,
exactly.
Continue.
But like right now, I can't fathom those things. But like, it's just so weird how like as soon as there's the child, it's just like, nope, I'm a different person now. And that honestly, in all reality, that I could be a different person negatively too. I could just completely flip a switch and be like a piece of shit. Who knows? I mean, for like for females, that's even harder. Like sometimes they get like that postpartum and stuff. So, but yeah, so there's like a male aspect to that too as well. But yeah, I don't know. It's something I've thought about because Hallie and I are talking about having kids.
How old are you? 29?
I turned 28 this year.
Damn. Okay. So that is like the correct age. I just thought you were closer to my age. Damn, I'm old. I feel like all of us are all of us in relationships, I should say. Me, you, and Chris. I feel like the significant other has all been like. I don't know about Chris actually. I haven't talked to him, but my wife has recently as well.
It's like the John Mulaney bear was like, could be a baby. Like, could be time for a baby.
Yeah. So we're talking about it and like doing all the steps like with like doctors and stuff and like looking into benefits and stuff. But yeah, that whole aspect is just something like I don't know if I'm ready for yet, but we'll get there.
Yeah,
But my wife then get a puppy.
She has a bunch of fake plants.
Well,
Does
you
that
have an
count?
Australian Shepherd. Like I feel like
I
that's
have 2 dogs and 2 cats.
yeah.
So
Perfect.
already got that level down. And she's a great dog mom, so I have no doubt. But the thing with, and I'm not speaking, I'm speaking generically because there's nothing going on with like Hallie and me in that department where it's just like some women have a clock that is faster than others, where it's just like sometimes you can't make them wait. And I know like a big deal to my wife is like being a mom. So I'm like, we're married now, we're financially okay, like if you want to do it, like now's the time. And she was like, yep. So I was like, okay, now we're having that conversation.
That was fast.
Well, I mean, I know my wife, so it's just like I know it's a big deal.
I would hope
to
you know her.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah,
My wife
and I
never
know
met
it's,
her.
and I also again, and I know my wife, so it's like I know she's not one to just bring up conversations like that. She's too nervous about those things. So I know sometimes I have to kind of like crack open the door a little bit to get her to like actually tell me those things, and we're fine. It's not like anything like where she just won't tell me things. But I just
No, but that's
I
like
know
a healthy relationship. You know the tells and like you know how to communicate with each other. I don't think that's a negative at all.
I know what is asked of me to get what we need as a couple.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So
Yeah. And I think
it goes both ways. So.
If it's something that you're both are in tune to, that's only healthy. Hell yeah, that's really
Very
exciting.
sweet.
We've been together since 2019, I think.
Okay.
And we've never had a legitimate like groundbreaking argument. Like we've always stopped it before I got there, where we're like, nope, we're gonna sit down, we're gonna talk about this, we're gonna be calm. I'm a loud person, so sometimes she just kind of looks at me and she's like, I'm like, okay, give me a second, let me just cool off, let me go outside, and then I'll come back and then we'll have a level-headed conversation. But
I have a weird.
we've never had like a groundbreaking argument. So
I have a weird question, and feel free to not answer this. I grew up in a household where my parents yelled at each other a lot. There was a lot of screaming and fighting at each other, and I'm also in the same position as you, where I've never had a conversation like that with my wife, and I haven't ever made a conscious effort. But I think it's something. Do you feel like it's something in the back of your head where it's like, I saw this happening with my parents, and I never want to do that? Because the older I get, the more I'm like, damn, that is something that is just missing from our relationship that I have just completely X'd out. Otherwise, like, I've noticed other similarities between mine and Jennifer's relationship because of watching my parents growing up, right? But that is one aspect. Do you find that as well?
mine's kind of like a double-edged sword in that word, because like I said, I'm a really loud person. So like I think if my wife wasn't the person she is, we would get to that. Like it would be my fault just because I just naturally escalate. That's just how I saw it growing up. So like but yes, and I would say you said it like subconsciously in the back of your mind or something like, I saw this, I don't want to do that. I think mine is even subconscious. Like mine is very conscious. It's just when I'm in the heat of the moment, I don't think
realize
like that.
Yeah.
Yes. If I'm outside the moment, you know, it's always easy to say like, oh, in a scary movie, I wouldn't do this, blah, blah. Like when I'm outside the moment, I know like, yes, I am very calm, and I'm the world's best. I guarantee you, like third party. Like if there's two people arguing and I'm there, I'm gonna figure it the fuck out, and we're gonna get a solution. I'm telling you right now. But like when it's me, for whatever reason, I escalate and I get loud, and my wife just kind of has to sit down and look at me, and I'm like, all right, my bad.
My entire family is just very loud. Like it's not like, oh, I saw necessarily a lot of yelling between my parents. It was like I saw yelling between parents and kids, me and my parents, me and my siblings and siblings, like, and then like extended family. My uncles will talk, and like sometimes it'll also just be like one of us will be shouting, not even out of anger, just to make a point, or just to like, or we'll be like, I sometimes have to like stop, like pause my TV and like listen and be like, is my family screaming at each other, or are they just screaming?
Yes, my family is the exact same way. We are very, very, very loud people, and I'm a loud person, and so when I first introduced Hallie to my extended family, because we like to get together like once a month, not in the winter months, obviously, but like once a month just to get everyone together, the aunts, the uncles, the cousins, all that stuff, just see each other. And when she met my family, she literally was like, I get it. I understand.
No any anger or offense in the loudness between the family members. It's just loud.
Just like 40 decibels more than it needs to be for no goddamn reason. But she also looked at me and she's like, I am shocked that you were one of the quiet ones. and I'm
Yeah.
not quiet.
My wife
So,
And then
the
so-
just one of
opposite
those
way.
things.
She's like, you're one
Because
of the
of that,
louder ones.
it always became one of those things where like it felt like in fights you had to shout to even get heard in my family because I'm like one of 4 kids and then the 2 parents, so it's like a family of 6. So if there's a family discussion going on where tensions are high, it gets to a point where you're screaming just to even become like, hey, no, we're listening to me now.
Yeah.
And so that's something that like as someone who hasn't been in a relationship, like it's definitely gonna have to be something that like is going to require a lot of active thought and effort to like steer away from, just because it's something I don't even think about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm an only child, but like I was always around my cousins, like all the
Yeah.
damn time. So it was just everyone was competing for everything. So
I grew up in a family of the original 3 is what we called me, my older sister, me, and then my little brother, and then there was the bonus baby, which is my little sister who's 7 years younger than me. Then there's the actual bonus kids that are 7 years younger than her. So I have 2 little sisters who are like in high school right now. I'm 30.
I thought you were gonna call like the one after you like the bonus baby, and then the ones after that the accident baby.
No, my mom, when me and my older sister
So-
started moving out, my mom had 2 panic kids. Because she
Wow.
like has
So
only
you're telling
ever been
me-
a mom since she was like 17.
Yeah, she didn't know what else to do.
Great mom.
Telling me that-
Honestly, ooh, if my parents weren't as old as we were, I'd be like, "Yo, have a panic kid, guys," because like you're getting too involved with me. But then I look at their ages, I'm like, nah, because that in 20 years that becomes my kid.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
yeah. So you're telling me, James, there was the OG 3, and then there was the bonus baby, then there was the bonus babies,
bonus babies.
or
Yeah.
bonus baby squared.
Yeah. Totally bonus baby squared. I don't know that, like, I feel kind of bad just because me and my parents, like, I kind of understand the, like, not talking to your parents a lot. Like, me and my dad have always gotten along, but the rest of my family and me always haven't seen eye to eye. So the youngest 2, I try to get to know, but there's a dissonance there between me and the rest of the family where I'm kind of detached. But my older sister, for all intents and purposes, since my mom was so busy with all of the other kids and I was so close to her and I was her first brother, she was so excited to have a brother. She's like, I don't mean this negatively towards my mom, but she was like my mom. And so I'm closest with
Yeah.
my older sister, and being her kid's cool uncle is like the closest I've ever wanted to have kids.
I can't wait to be a Funkle.
Dude, it is I bought him an Xbox, and I'm like their fucking favorite. That was 2 years
Fuck
ago.
yeah.
Dude,
Hell
when
yeah.
you couldn't get Xboxes anywhere, I was like the king of drops. And so I just got him an Xbox when they weren't. Anyway, I like being the fun uncle, but I have one niece, and she's the youngest. And that's the one that's breaking me and Jennifer. I'm like, fuck, she's cute. But if I have a kid, it's not going to be that cute. Like, I know my sister and I know me.
Yeah, I was talking about like if like we get to that stage when we have the kid, my wife was like, our child is gonna be so spoiled because it's gonna be like the first kid out of like that group of like other kids that are growing up now. It's gonna be like the first one. I think in my family that's not true, but in her family it is. So
Yeah.
like it's just like that child's screwed.
Yeah.
He's gonna expect everything. So
I
Yeah.
do
My
want to
cousin's married. Okay.
not let my kid have everything, because I feel like where I get my edge is like, I don't know how to say this, but like some of the fucked up shit that happened to me, I feel like is what's made me me. And so like I don't want to be a bad
Trauma
parent.
builds character. Some
Yeah.
level of trauma or difficult struggle builds character.
I
Just a
think
little.
it's
Just like a
easy-
smudge.
here's the thing: it's easy for us to say that.
Yeah, it is.
We don't know how trauma affects other people. That's just not how that works.
I'm
And
not
I
saying
had to
okay.
I had to
like
go through
kids
a lot
should-
of work to like
yeah.
get past my trauma, but I do think that I wouldn't have made it as far if I was coddled the way that I wish I was, if that makes sense. I'm not
The
trying.
kid
to, like,
needs to be
spank-
dropped once or twice, and I mean this metaphorically. I don't mean this in a literal sense, but I just mean like the kid's gotta drop the baby once or twice.
I just don't
literally
want him
just
to be an
pictured-
iPad kid. Like, let's go build a
Yeah.
tent. Let's go do something. I think me seeing all the iPad kids, I'm like, at least like all of my cousins and my older sister, like she's good about like having slotted time. But bro, these iPad kids are something else, and I just
See,
don't-
I'm like, no, we're gonna be a iPad
Gremlins.
family where it's like, yeah, if you want to do electronic stuff, but you're gonna do it with me, and like I'm gonna be there for a lot of it.
So like my uncle will like watch basketball highlights with my nephew because that's like his and their thing, and then he'll like play Zelda with his oldest, and then like it's very, you got to find a right way to do it. They're not just plopping them in front of it and like letting them
Yeah.
the iPad babysit them. And I don't know. I understand parenting is hard, especially like in this day and age where you're working so many jobs, such long hours, and if you don't have the help, I understand that. I'm not a
Yeah,
parent.
and
I
I-
don't know what it's like to be.
And
a
I'm not gonna act like my mom didn't like drop us in front of a TV for 2 hours sometimes because it was easier for her to get stuff done that way, even if it meant we exceeded the required amount or recommended amount of television.
I think there's like every once in a while you just have to do it. You just need a break. Like just go do what the fuck you want.
Yeah.
But it's also like
just don't kill yourself.
Yeah, and then like I saw Michael from Vsauce talking about this, where he was like, people are always like, oh, everyone's attention span is so short because of the internet or because we're doing compilations with Subway Surfers. And he was like, okay, but you know what we used to do in the 90s is if we were watching TV, me and a friend would also have a conversation, so we'd only be half paying attention to the show. He was like people have always broken their attention span in different ways.
Played Halo 3, like the weirdest shit. Just listening to podcasts,
handheld games. So like, how many people have played any game that's ever been on a DS or a Game Boy while a television show was on?
Dude, I played Advanced Wars on a horse pack trip to go hunting. We were passing the DS back and forth as we were riding on horseback and we were like playing DS.
That's awesome.
I feel like that. Like in the moments where the other kid had the Game Boy, were you just on your horse, like thinking strategy, like you're a general?
Actually, it was really scary when you got it. It was like speed match because you were trying to pay attention to. We weren't running, but it was like you were trying to pay attention to the trail, and so you try to make your moves as fast as possible. And our dads were yelling at us to put it away. It was the best. But like I remember my mom would like give us like an hour of GameCube time in the day, and then she's like, "All right, go ride your bike, meet Taylor, and go hang it." My friends were Taylor and Tanner, so that's where Tanner came from. Go meet them, and I remember like putting in like 10-mile days on my bike, just like I was an 80s kid in the 2000s, but I don't know. I just feel like there was something about finding your own way that made me who I am. And I think
I was definitely someone who played a shit ton of video games by myself in my room.
Yeah.
Only child though, like I don't know.
And that's why we are the way we are. So if you want to be part of this loud family, remember to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Follow us on Twitter. Follow all our personal accounts as well. And we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.